Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. So I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. Glad people were able to come. So um, we're entering, the weather's getting colder and colder here in Winnipeg. Um, the last week we were having some temperatures dropping below zero, overnights below zero. And here at the monastery, the heater was not working. So we had some pretty cold nights, some pretty cold mornings. But like all things, it's impermanent. So it's been fixed. And it's just started going this afternoon, the heater. But this morning, when we had the in-person program this morning, and during the Dhamma talk, one of my favorite stories from the commentaries, from the Dhammapada commentary came up. I thought maybe I'd share that this evening. So it's from, so the Dhammapada is this book. It's this collection of very short teachings from the Buddha, just one verses, short verses, couple, I think 4-line verses. And, but then several hundred years after it was written or it was compiled, the commentaries were written. And the commentaries gave background stories to all of these little short teachings and stuff. And so you do get like some scholars who really, say that don't believe the commentaries or want to throw the commentaries out. They don't believe they were true but I think regardless of whether they're true or not, they're really these really great teaching stories and you can really like learn a lot. They really give a lot of, a lot of depth, a lot of flavor, and a lot of background to some of these teachings. And so my favorite one, or one of my favorite ones, was about this layman named Atula. And so Atula, he was basically like a lay teacher. He was the head of this like group of lay people who were Buddhists and into Dhamma. And so at one time he decided to take them all to the monastery nearby to listen to some Dhamma. So they all go to the monastery and they look for a monk to go listen to Dhamma from. And they first go find the Venerable Revata. And the Venerable Revata, he's this really, really austere forest monk, and he just really loves quiet and solitude and silence. And so they go up to him, they pay respects to him, and then they sit down, hoping to hear a Dhamma talk. But the Venerable Revata, he just sits there quiet, doesn't say a word, just sits silent, and and that actually does still happen. I do know one senior monk who was talking about back when he was a junior monk back in the early 80s that he did stay with this one very reputable Kruba Ajahn in Thailand who would do the same things sometimes for the on the full moon and new moon observance days when he'd go to give the Dhamma talks, he'd just sit there silent meditating. But anyway, so it does happen. So the layman Atula and his other lay followers are sitting there for a while, and the Venerable Revata is not saying anything. So Atula gets really annoyed, gets really pissed off after a while, and so they get up and they go look for someone else to listen to Dhamma from. And then they go find the Venerable Sariputta. Now, and they pay respects to him and they tell the Venerable Sariputta what just happened. They were like, oh, we came here to listen to some Dhamma and we went to see the Venerable Revata and he didn't say anything. Now, the Venerable Sariputta, he was the foremost disciple of the Buddha in wisdom. So, he really could understand this deep wisdom and really understand these teachings very deeply. So he gave them this really, really long Dhamma talk and all about the really high Abhidhamma and this really deep, hard to understand Dhamma. And again, stuff like that does still happen nowadays. There was one in particular, Kruba Ajahn, and who is known for like if you'd go to listen to a Dhamma talk for him, like you were going to sit there for several hours. Actually, there's quite a few Kruba Ajahns who would do that. Luang Por Chah could do that. He could talk right through the night too. So there's some where their style is to give very long Dhamma talks. And so the Venerable Sariputta did that. He gave them this long Dhamma talk of the very like deep, profound teachings of the Buddha. And this layman Atula again was get got irritated. He didn't like this, and he because he was thinking this is really deep. It's really confusing. I don't really get it, and I don't see this how this is going to help me in my daily life. So when the talk was finished, they paid their respects. They got up and went to go find someone else to listen to some Dhamma from. So they went and they found the Venerable Ananda and paid respects to him. And they told the Venerable Ananda everything which had happened. We came to listen to some Dhamma. We first Venerable Revata, he didn't say anything. And then Venerable Sariputta, he just went on, and it was really deep and difficult to understand. Can you please teach us some Dhamma? So the Venerable Ananda, he gave them a Dhamma talk, and it was really good. It was really practical. They could understand it. It was very clear. It was stuff that they could really use and help them in their day-to-day life. But it was very short. And so, again, this layman Atula got irritated at this and was unhappy with that because it was too short for his liking. So after it was finished, they paid respects to him, and they went off and they found the Buddha, and they went and paid respects to the Buddha, and told the Buddha everything which has happened. Came to listen to Dhamma. First, Venerable Revata didn't say anything, and Venerable Sariputta talked too long and it was too deep, and then Venerable Ananda gave a very good Dhamma talk, but it was too short. So the Buddha said to him, "O Atula, since ancient times it's been like this. Those who say nothing are criticized. Those who speak a lot are criticized, and those who speak the right amount are criticized. Everyone is criticized." And I think this, to me, is a really, really great teaching because it really takes that uh, feeling of criticism being personal out of it. It really takes that, that expectation that or that hope that, everyone's going to like us. We're not going to be criticized out of it. The story just, it's there to illustrate that, this is just part of life. This is just a natural thing. No matter what you do, someone is going to be unhappy with you. Someone's going to criticize you for that. And I think maybe nowadays people can understand that a little better than they did back then too. Because I guess, nowadays in the era of social media, they see everyone gets criticized online for something, right? No matter no matter what they're doing, someone's going after them. So so this is usually what this teaching or this story is for, is particularly about, getting criticized, not taking it personally. But sometimes, I like to, with some of these teachings and some of these things, I sometimes like to look at them, from a different angle and look at maybe a slightly different teaching which is there. So this is one of the things you hear say, particularly with monks and our Vinaya rules. All of our rules have a background story, reason the Buddha laid down that rule. But a lot of times, we can find maybe another meaning for the rule or something else, the Buddha didn't explicitly say, but somewhere this rule actually really helps us on top of that or really benefits us on top of that. And so I think it's the same sometimes with some of these stories. So one of the other things, I take from that story, or I can see in that story, is this idea of not trying to please everybody, because a lot of times, in our lives, we go out and we really want to make everyone happy. We want everyone to like us. We want we, our things we say, things we do are particularly to please people. And, I think, this illustrates that we're not going to please everybody. So it's really important for us, not just to uh, try to please people, not just to, uh, do what we think is going to be sound the nicest or make people the happiest, but really go out to do things correctly, do things in a proper way. So, to really conduct ourselves properly by, body, speech, and mind, so when we interact with other people, it's not just about trying to say what we think they're going to like or what's going to make them happy. We have these standards from the Buddha. We have these standards of with speech, not to lie, not to be malicious in our speech, not to be harsh in our speech, not to indulge in idle chatter. So we can really take these up as, our basis when we're interacting with other people. But it's good to add here too that, when we do approach things in life as, oh, I'm not trying to, not doing this just to impress people, that, I'm not trying to impress people. Sometimes we can use that as a bit of an excuse to, um, not be so skillful. Like, a lot of times in life, those people who are the, "Oh, I don't care what people think of me" type people, a lot of times that they actually are the ones who do care the most. That's usually why they say that. Or it can also be that's just an excuse for, speaking in a harsh way or behaving in an inappropriate way. So even though, so we are trying to do a correct way, and we also do live in the world. So this is one thing, I remember Ajahn Nando used to talk about, like the difference between like samuti sacha and vimutti sacha. So like the difference between like um conventional reality versus ultimate reality. And even though, we're moving towards, the getting beyond all conditioned things, to see this ultimate reality, it's important for us to remember that we still do live in a conventional world, and we still do have to live by the conventions. So, we could say, uh, ultimately this doesn't, ultimate reality, it's all empty anyways, but we do live in the world, and we do have to, follow these conventions. And you could see it really clearly with monks. So for with the monks, we have, we're practicing to become enlightened, to see non-self, to go beyond all this stuff. And but we have like so many rules, so many conventions we have to follow, like more than even lay people do. And so sometimes for some people that can be very difficult trying to um, navigate between that. But we have to remember, yeah, we do still live in the conventional world. We still do have conventional things we have to follow. And as monks, and then as lay people too, following these having these certain kind of guidelines, boundaries in how we live our lives can really free us up from a lot of those other problems. We don't have to think so much about, oh, is this going to be the right thing to say, or is this going to be the wrong thing to say? Is this the right thing to do, or is this the wrong thing to do? It's a little clearer to us. It's like, okay, well, I'm doing what I think is actually the right thing, and I'm doing what, is in line with what I understand as things being right. Because it's very easy for us, to really create a lot of suffering for ourselves, worrying about, if I did something wrong, was this right? Was this wrong? And we can really, create so much of that suffering in our lives, or even bringing it back to, trying to impress people. Like, you worry, oh, is this person gonna like me, if I say this or say that, and it can even come up with, teaching Dhamma. This is one of the things which can be with monks. Do you just say what you think people are wanting to hear, what's going to make people happy, or are you actually saying what, what is in line with, the Dhamma, what's in line, what's going to be most helpful to them. So this is just some important things for us to, keep in mind and when when we're practicing and we're living our daily lives. So I think I'd like to offer that to everyone as a bit of a reflection this evening.